Always adjusting. Good evening. Hey Dee. I really am so frustrated with myself. Yes, the chat is working. I don't know if it'll work. Since I'm using StreamYard to do this, I'm not sure if it'll work with regular YouTube stuff, because this will stream to YouTube. Yeah, that last night was weird. So frustrating because I kept, I wanted to make comments and stuff, and but you guys were all experiencing it too. So it had to have just been a glitch for people. But anyway, um, yeah, I was not planning on going live tonight. I was just gonna do a quick recorded video, and I can't remember how I actually created that pedo video. And I have searched and I've Googled it, and um, I've played with my program and all that, and I cannot seem to find it. So I decided, you know what? I wanted to just put these few little thoughts out there, and um, and I just don't have all night to end, probably tomorrow and whatever, to figure out again what I did. I'll figure it out when I'm not. Probably as soon as I do this, I'll get back to it, and it'll be, like, oh, it's so easy. This is, but you know how that goes. So, how are you doing tonight, Dee? And while you do that, I'm actually. So, last night I was I was watching The Bill Show, as you know, and there was a comment made in chat by Red Pill Marine about the Marines. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry for me too. If it gets worse, then I'm in trouble. But I am sorry about the headaches. No fun. No fun at all. I'm still dealing with my back issue that I was dealing with. I went to the chiropractor again today, and I will go back again next week for another massage and chiropractor next week. So just get me back into shape a little bit. But anyway, yeah, so I was on, yes. Well, and what he had said was he'd made the comment about Marines being the only branch that reported directly to POTUS, if I remember correctly. So I was thinking about that. And I also, there's a story going around right now about, well, in fact, I'll just bring it up. Thank you, you too. Okay, so I'm going to. Okay, so there's this story. It's from military.com. It says, unlike any exercise, a massive Marine Corps war game is happening at 29 Palms. The Marine Corps hasn't done anything like it in decades. 10,000 Marines, sailors, and NATO troops have descended on Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center 29 Palms in California's Mojave Desert for a massive training exercise. The troops will be pitted against each other in a force on force battle as they prepare for a different kind of fight, one against an enemy with sophisticated equipment and skills. Most of the Marines participating are from the North Carolina based 2nd Marine Division, which hasn't conducted a multi regimental live maneuver exercise in decades. So officials called it unlike any exercise held at the Marine Corps Air Ground Combat Center. An exercise of this scale, force on force, multi-regiment outfitted with significant information operations and unmanned aerial system assets, hasn't been conducted in the Marine Corps in my lifetime, Major General David Furness said in a release. It will test Marines to operate against a thinking enemy, he added. That's something that was on General David Berger, I'm not sure how you say his name, mind since before he became the Marines' top general. So anyway, it was just kind of this weird, kind of crossing of paths in my brain, in hearing about this thing that's happening. And of course, there's all this, weird stuff with the fires and the electricity being shut off and all that in California. Then you've got this big training exercise that's unlike anything they've done in forever how long. And then, just with Red Pill Marines' comment about the Marines being the only branch that is that reports directly to POTUS. So I wanted to look that up as well. So let me come back here. I just have to, not sure if I can share different screens, like if I can pop straight to different screens on this. I'll have to try it. Hey, Robert Nazawa. Okay, so I can't remember which one. I'll just look here. Hey, John Mama. Okay, so on this one, this is How Stuff Works, science.howstuffworks.com. It's talking about the Marines and Marine Corps purpose. Okay, so it talks about a couple things, but then it says, in addition, the Marines can be used for other duties as the President may direct, according to the 1834 Marine Corps Law. The Marines operate in a state of readiness for combat unmatched by units in other military branches. A Marine unit has everything it needs to leap right into combat, including logistical support and close air support. Plus, the Marines keep units stationed on Navy ships that are on float around the world. That puts them closer to potential trouble spots than troops stationed in the United States. Okay, so not that it's that big of a deal. And I mean, this is, the How Stuff Works website, so it's not like it's coming from a military source either. But it seemed kind of interesting to me that it talks about the Marines operating at a state of readiness for combat, unmatched by units in any other military branches. And then the idea of this massive training exercise that hasn't, the likes of which they haven't seen in however long, right? And so I just the question of, well, if they operate at a state of readiness, wouldn't there be more trainings like this, or smaller trainings like this more often, or something like that? So maybe that's just a ridiculous question. Um, but nowadays I tend to question a lot more than I used to. So um, it just made me wonder if there was more to this training exercise. Um, okay, so then and let me try to switch screens like this and see if it works. But um, so I wanted to look up. It had mentioned the 1834 Marine Corps law. Okay, so I wanted to look up kind of a little bit of history. Let me see if this worked. Okay, it didn't. So I've got to switch the screens I'm using. There it is. Okay, so this is okay, statement of Dr. William S. Dudley, Director of Naval History, before the House Armed Services Committee on the Secretary of the Navy and Marine Corps, 18 of March 2004. Okay, so really this whole thing is really just kind of a history lesson on, I guess, what I would call the brotherhood between the Navy and the Marines. Okay, but in that, so there's a lot of it that doesn't really apply to this, but in that, let me see if I highlighted it. There we go. Okay. I was really still trying to get to the crux of what is a relationship that the Marines have with the president that may be different. So, the Act of 1798 did not give the Marine Corps an organizational existence or mission independent of the Navy. For the legislation authorized the president to discharge Marines whenever there were changes in the numbers of vessels in commission, if he did not want to use the Marines in other duties ashore. Nor did it specifically state that service ashore meant that the Marine Corps was to come automatically under the control of the Army, as some Army officers later assumed. So, okay, so again, that's a little bit of background. It's still kind of talking about the Marines' relationship with the Navy and the Army. But this part, in essence, the law allowed the president as commander in chief and the secretary of the Navy, by implication, to use the Corps of Marines as they saw fit. So, um, so I was just kind of, again, trying to pull that back to what Red Pill Marine had said and find as much as I could on um, on that connection, um, and because if there is that special connection between the Marines and Trump, POTUS, Trump in this case, right? And have all of this stuff ramping up right now with Trump. Is there a connection between the fact that it's the Marine Corps and the fact that they are doing this exercise? So I don't know. That's just a question. I have um, no real answer on that at this point. It is really just something I was questioning, and it just tickled my brain. Um, okay. So there's that. Um, so thank you to Red Pill Marine and Red Pill 78, actually, honestly, two red pills for bringing that up. And again, it's just something I'm kind of questioning and rolling around in my mind and waiting to see. I mean, I don't know if I would come up with an answer before it's revealed anyway. Okay, so then the other thing that just hit me today, I mean, that I had heard about today, I know, Robert. I believe me, I'm thinking, so there's that. um, but anyway, so um, The other thing I heard about today was this wonderful little gem. Oh, actually, I have to stop sharing this and go to the other. I'm sorry, my brain is not working really quickly tonight. And so I'm like, what am I looking for? Okay, so there's this thing, Representative Ilhan Omar to enact law to guarantee a home for everyone. Okay, so she was at the She the People. Is it She the People? Oh, the first congressional town hall for women of color, um, which again, do we have to segment so much, right? This is the first congressional town hall for women of color. Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's beside the point. Let me get to this. And I don't know that I've shown video through this, so let me know if it doesn't work. And I am going to fast forward this to a minute 20. And let's listen to what she has to say. Okay, so there's no sound. All right, so let me fix that. Well, let me try to fix that. Like I said, this is my first time doing this through StreamYard, so we'll see how this goes. Mm. All right, let's try it again. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, you guys couldn't hear that? You can hear me, but not the video. Okay. Okay. I will figure that out. But basically, what she says is, um, you know, insert emotional manipulation piece. She opens up and talks about how when she first came out of the refugee camps, and the very first thing that she saw when she came to America was the it was homeless people in the streets, and how shocked she was that she was seeing this. Um, and then she talks about the fact that that shouldn't happen, and she's introducing this bill, um, housing for all, and planning on using petrol dollars to pay for housing for everyone. So, um, I was watching something else today that was talking about the homeless issue, and talking about just comparing, right? Just using numbers. Um, um, right, Bill. Um, and then she then talked about how the squad are all coming out with housing for all bills, and they're also going to. She's also wanting to make it so that anyone who lives in a mobile home would have first rights to purchasing the land that their mobile home is on. Um, so anyway, of course, my thought goes to, well, I have several thoughts, right? It's not the responsibility of the government to, um, and when I say the government, the people, to provide housing for everyone. I guess, in this world where the Democrats, and I hate to even say Democrats, because honestly, that's not totally fair to the whole Democrat Party, honestly. um, that they're not all crazy, just their leadership. But my point is that um, the leadership has been doing this one thing, right? I mean, you know, free education for everyone, free healthcare for everyone, um, free entry into the country with all of the rights and all of the, well, actually, even more healthcare than our U.S. citizens are getting. Um, so everything's been a one up. Um, so I guess now, right? It only makes sense that we would say free housing for everyone. Um, so of course, it's this ridiculous socialistic idea, right? And in socialism, what happens? Why do I want to pay my mortgage when I have others who are getting housing for free, right? Um, you know, there's also the question just about the homeless. Um, Hello, Sandra Ann. Is it Sandra Ann or Sandra Ann? Um, anyway, there's the whole piece about homelessness, and how different policies in different areas are dealing with homelessness, and the results from that, right? So if you look at LA, San Francisco, wonderful Seattle, um, if you look at um, those cities, the homeless, not only the homeless population, but what is coming with the homeless population, um, in those cities, is getting way out of control, right? all of those cities, hey, Robert Wallace, um, all of those, you've got LA and, oh, Bill, I'm having a Bill moment where I'm having trouble keeping my thoughts when I'm looking at the chat. So I'm going to stop that for a minute. But you have those cities like LA and San Francisco who are not only extremely liberal themselves, but in an extremely liberal state. Seattle, although the whole state is not liberal, the east side of the mountains is pretty conservative, but the greater part of the population is on the west side and it's extremely liberal. So Seattle is an extremely liberal city, also in a liberal state. And the policies that have been put in place for years, I mean, these cities and states have gone liberal for years, right? And the policies for the homelessness and all of their compassionate, right? That's what it all falls under. It's this umbrella of compassionate care, right? And they're so much more compassionate than us horrible conservatives. Um, and yet, their compassionate policies continue to lead to worse and worse problems. The homelessness issue has not improved in these very compassionately liberal cities, in these compassionately liberal states. So, it comes down to what I've been talking about recently anyway. Um, it's facts, it's reality, it's truth. Um, just because I say I wish it were, doesn't make it so. Um, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the numbers regarding the homeless population and the policies that have been put in place. Um, I was also hearing, excuse me. So Austin, Texas. Texas is, a pretty conservative, traditionally known as very conservative, right? But the city of Austin is actually really liberal. There are a couple of cities in Texas that have started to go wacko. So anyway, um, the city of Austin instituted some liberal policies about 5 years ago that they were all patted on the back for and all that, being all compassionate that they were. And then fast forward 5 years, and their homeless problem is 30% worse than it was 5 years ago. So again, what are you doing with that? So now we have another wonderfully compassionate liberal, Ilhan Omar, who has decided we're going to fix this by, just giving away free stuff, free housing for all, right? Not taking into account as well why people are homeless. Um, that's something that some of these things don't take into account. Some of these policies don't take into account. So anyway, just I heard about these things. I was irritated about um, at least the Ilhan Omar thing. Um, the Marine exercise and the connection of the Marines to POTUS is just something I'm rolling around in my brain and asking questions about. And that's more of, for me, a let's watch and see what happens and how this all develops and if there is something to it. So that's all I really had for this evening. Again, I wasn't planning on going live. I was making a short little video and posting it, and then I forgot how I did that. So, um, yeah, let her invite them into her own home. I will read through. I'm sorry. I will read through the chat now. Um, who would want the block of cement your home is on? Okay. Okay, so Joan is kind of touching on one of the things that I was thinking about. She said, "I'm sorry, but a whole lot of the homeless population are that way because they want to be, because they aren't responsible or don't want to give up drugs." Okay, so yeah, I mean, there is that. There is the fact that there's real mental health issues. There's the fact that, uh, there are, that's the thing, is there are factors that go into this that, um, what is a free house going to do? And is it, and how is it going to be maintained? Um, are we going to have people who are coming in? Are we going to pay to have people come in and clean and take care of the yard and, maintain everything? Is this going to be like a rental where the government, meaning we the people, are responsible for the upkeep as well? Who is going to own those houses? Um, well, and Robert, you don't have Robert N. You don't have, I mean, the island of Oahu is all that big, so um, you don't have a lot of space to stretch out in. And that's not a, that's not a cut or anything. I, that wasn't what that was meant to be, but just saying, you know, it's premium land there, especially Honolulu. All right. Oh yeah, Bill. I know. I'm figuring that out, right? Multi-generational homes because housing prices keep locals unable to afford to purchase. Well, okay, and that opens up a whole other issue, honestly, of, the government is not supposed to take care of everybody. Um, and we as a society have, um, come away from that place where the church and family were the ones who were mainly responsible for, caring for the widows and orphans, for example, or caring for your own family. Um, you know, have the multi-generational home if that works, right? Um, but do that versus saying, "Oh, hey, I need government help." We have we have Hollywood stars who are saying they support, these liberal policies because, um, oh, they have a family member, a cousin or whatever, right? Who's poor and they can't da 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 da. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? So you want a government program to come in and take care of your family member when you could hire them a job, right? I mean, a Hollywood star employs a lot of people. Um, take care of your own family. Look at the government to do that. It's crazy. Yes, Wallace, well, Robert Wallace and Bill, you guys had great shows last night. We just couldn't tell you. Just with the darn chat not working. We just couldn't tell you. So, Robert N. Our local taxes used to cover our city services. A lot of services have become a la carte now, along with paying taxes. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Hawaii is, very liberal as well, right? If I remember correctly. Um, and the liberal solution for anything is throw money at it, um, raise taxes to get more money to throw at it, and have the solution be run by the government. I think I covered it. Um, Robert's saying a lot of people are also poor by choice. They can choose to improve their lives. Yeah. Well, yeah, Bill. We can always print more. Sure, why not? So there's that. Right. Well, I think I'm about done. Unless someone wants to try hopping on and we can play with, seeing if it works. To have you hop on, we can test that out again. I'll throw that in there for anybody if you guys want to. If not, that's okay. I just had that thought. QE until infinity. Explain that to me, Bill. I'm sorry. QE until infinity. QE. I'm sure that's something that should be very obvious to me, Bill. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm missing it. Um, okay. So quantitative easing, it basically means throwing lots of money at the problem. Yeah. Um, oh, look at you, Robert. And yeah, so obviously I'm the one who didn't know. But that's okay. I'm always learning stuff. So um, yeah, I mean, that's honestly, I'm one of those horrible people who, um, when um, when there's something on the ballot for raising taxes for schools, for example, I always say no. Um, and my main reason for that is until I feel like the money that they're getting is being spent well, we're not going to keep throwing money at it. So, and again, that seems very um, harsh to a lot of people. And oh, but it's for the children and all that. The problem is, it's not for the children because it gets misused along the way. And therefore, it doesn't actually um, impact the kids' education the way it should. So, deadly. Deadly? What's deadly? Right. So, I mean, obviously, there's a lot happening. Um, there's a lot happening um, in regard to the US dollar and probably a lot to come, depending on what Trump has up his sleeve. So that's one of those things that I'm, I think a lot of us are interested to watch that happen. So, all right. Okay. That's it. I said it would be fun. Um, and it is. So, thank you. I just wanted to get those couple of things out and couldn't figure out how to do my my video, upload my video. So you got a live stream. So there's that. 5 aces up that sleeve. Yeah, he's got a lot going on. It's amazing to me. So, all right. You guys have a good night. I don't know if anybody else is going on, but if so, I'll be there. I got to be up for a little while anyway. Um, so I'll be there. I'm just being stupid. I'm just being a goof. All right. Love you guys. Good night.